intra-disciplinary professional norms. So if we work with project managers and don't leverage the parts that are useful from existing project management process, then they get frustrated because we're too discontinuous. Now, we don't say that we want to use everything from the expectations of each of these traditions, because project management as a field should consider the interests of stakeholders and not just perception management of stakeholders. And we don't want to just reuse the fields and the tools, but where the tools from startup world can be reused, we often have adopted. We have day to day used Google Drive and Google Meet, and we've used Slack for 15,000 messages, for example, within our medicinal foods team. We've had about 30 Trello boards that we've used to coordinate on some other teams in terms of Kanban and wish lists. And we've, within the data science and machine learning team, we've had definitely a set of code on Bitbucket that we've used, and created some maps of reusable libraries from different parts of the open source community that are connectable to the project, and scrapers and spiders that can be reused for the sake of public health. This is our medicinal food citizen science to understand sleep, stress, and anxiety in terms of what foods and herbs can be beneficial for people to address that, and in what combinations, and with what chance of effectiveness, and how can we change the evidence base of medicinal foods to reach parity with the pharmaceutical world. So that's one set of tools that, in a context of a team, we use. I mean, we use a lot of.
Hi, my name is Bobby Fishkin, and I'm a founder of CrowdDoing. And I'm here today to talk with you because we have this initiative on medicinal foods citizen science. And what that means is, have you ever thought about foods that have function? Foods that affect your stress, foods that affect your anxiety, foods that affect your sleep. We think these are self-sensible. And citizen science is a form of participatory medicine in which people observe themselves and contribute to the future of science by communicating that information into a collaborative knowledge and into scientific knowledge. And we think that each person, through our app, our medicinal foods app, can, in the version 2.0, our HIPAA compliant forthcoming release, we hope that we'll be able to allow each person to test 10 different kinds of occasions when a given medicinal food can be tested for themselves, and learn, on each occasion, did it work, and then build a medicinal food toolkit of the ones that work. And we think that over scale, that's possible as an alternative to what we've achieved in terms of achieving evidence of effectiveness in pharmaceuticals, because pharmaceuticals over the last 100 years have had a tremendous number of randomized controlled trials compared to medicinal foods, 100 times more plus. And we think there's an opportunity to have medicinal foods tested through big data and through citizen science, as well as through machine learning and data science. So we have one working group working on the public data reviews of recipes and reviews of foods that might connect to data about anxiety and sleep and stress. And we have another group of volunteers working on qualitative analysis and quantitative review of existing clinical evidence and scientific evidence of the effectiveness of different foods. And then we believe that there's a cluster analysis in data science that can happen once we get to the point of understanding combinations of foods and recipes and the compounding effects of some mechanisms of medicinal foods. We have a team that includes health expertise, and we welcome each of the traditions of medicinal foods that apply to this: Ayurvedic medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, and we also have Native American medicine that connects to this. And all these themes of medicinal food actually come together if we can bring a scientific basis for people to understand, did the green tea affect their anxiety? Did the cherry juice affect their sleep? Did any of these medicinal foods achieve their intended function? Because the function that we're testing is, can medicinal food achieve a role for individuals? Now, the history of citizen science has been starting in environmental contexts where people have studied bird counting and counting different kinds of plants, and then it's extended to microbiome citizen science projects to study that. And the context of medicinal foods and citizen science is saying that there's a real opportunity to have collaboration make medicinal foods evidence trustable. So, what is an evidence oasis? An evidence oasis is when we have enough evidence to make the right decisions. A food desert is when we lack food. A food swamp is when we have lots of unhealthy food or misleading food. A evidence desert is when we lack evidence. An evidence swamp is when we have misleading evidence or a signal to noise ratio that's broken. And in medicinal foods, we have misleading evidence. We also have evidence scarcity, and yet there's an opportunity to create evidence oases. The term oasification was invented 20 years ago. It was invented as a term to describe when deserts and swamps become oases, and we think evidence oasification is possible through medicinal foods, through citizen science, through big data and machine learning, through taking the data that we have about ourselves and connecting that to processes by which we can come to trust when foods represent alternative functional medicine for us to achieve functional goals. And we think that there's sustainable development goals that are achievable through that. We think that there's ways in which public health, mental health goals are achievable through medicinal foods as well as physical health goals. We think the subset of these that are self-sensible is a low-hanging fruit, so to speak, and represents a opportunity for impact that we're recruiting global volunteers for from all fields that are of relevance that people want to service learn or micro lead in or contribute pro bono. That includes computer science, that includes data science, that includes nutritionists and people with expertise on Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine, and people who have food psychology expertise, and people who have other expertise related to the biology of medicinal foods. We welcome all the fields that need to come together in order to help us with this evidence oasification process. Thank you, and we look forward to collaborating on the CrowdDoing Medicinal Foods Citizen Science team.